15, line 60. The Teachings of Pythagoras. There was a man in this town, Pythagoras, who was by birth a Samian, but he had left Samos, fleeing at once the island and its tyrannical government, and in his hatred of despotism had gone into voluntary exile. In his thoughts he drew near to the gods, far removed though they were in their heavenly homes, and with the eyes of the mind he gazed upon those things which nature has denied to human sight. When unremitting care and thought had made everything clear to him, he imparted his knowledge for all to learn, and taught the silent, wondering crowds about the origin of the great universe, the reasons for things, what nature is, and what the gods, whence come the snows, the lightning flash, whether it is Jupiter who thunders, or the winds splitting the clouds apart, what causes earthquakes, the laws that govern the movement of the stars, and all that is hidden from man's knowledge. He was the first to ban the serving of animal food at our tables, first to express himself in such words as these, wise words indeed, but powerless to convince his hearers. O my brothers and sisters, do not defile your bodies with sinful foods. We have corn, we have apples, bending down the branches with their weight, and grapes swelling on the vines. There are sweet-flavored herbs and vegetables which can be cooked and softened over the fire, nor are you denied milk or thyme-scented honey. The earth affords a lavish supply of riches, of innocent foods, and offers you banquets that involve no bloodshed or slaughter. Only beasts satisfy their hunger with flesh, and not even all of those, for horses, cattle, and sheep live on grass. Book 15, line 143.
Now, since a god directs my speech, I shall duly follow him who guides, reveal the secrets of my beloved Delphi, and of the heavens themselves, and unlock the oracles of a majestic mind. I shall speak of things of great import, never studied by previous intellects, which have long lain hid. I joy to journey among the stars, high above, to leave the earth and this dull abode, to ride on the clouds and stand on stout Atlas' shoulders, looking down from afar on men as they wander aimlessly, devoid of any guiding principle, to unroll for them the scroll of fate, and cheer their panic and their fear of death, saying, "You people dismayed by the fear of icy death, why are you terrified by the Styx, by shadows and empty names, the stuff of poets' tales, by the dangers of a world that does not exist? Our bodies, whether destroyed by the flames of the funeral pyre or by slow decay, do not feel any suffering. You must not think so. Our souls are immortal, and are ever received into new homes, where they live and dwell when they have left their previous abode. I myself, at the time of the Trojan War, for I remember it well, was Pantheus' son, Euphorbus, who once received full in the breast the heavy spear of Menelaus, Atreus' younger son. Quite recently, in the temple of Juno at Abbas city, I recognized the shield I used to carry on my left arm. All things change, but nothing dies. The spirit wanders hither and thither, taking possession of what limbs it pleases, passing from beasts into human bodies, or again, our human spirit passes into beasts, but never at any time does it perish. Like pliant wax which stamped with new designs does not remain as it was or keep the same shape, but yet is still itself. So I tell you that the soul is always the same, but incorporates itself in different forms. Therefore, in case family feeling prove less strong than greedy appetite, I warn you not to drive souls that are akin to yours out of their homes by impious killings. Do not nourish blood with blood. Since I have set sail upon a wide ocean and spread my canvas to the wind, let me continue further. Nothing is constant in the whole world. Everything is in a state of flux and comes into being as a transient appearance. Time itself flows on with constant motion, just like a river. For no more than a river can the fleeting hour stand still. As wave is driven on by wave, and itself pursues the one before, so the moments of time at once flee and follow, and are ever new. What was before is left behind. That which was not comes to be, and every minute gives place to another. You see the night's completed passage to day. The shining rays of morning succeed the darkness of the night. The color of the sky is not the same when all things lie wearily in the still midnight, as when bright Lucifer emerges on his white steed. It changes again when Aurora, forerunner of the day, gilds the sky she must hand on to Phoebus. The orb of the sun god himself, red in the morning when he rises from beneath the earth, red when he sinks below, shines white in the heights of heaven, because the air is better there, far removed from earth's contagion. Nor can the moon by nights retain one and the same shape all the time. She is smaller today than she will be tomorrow if she is waxing, and greater if she wanes. Or again, don't you see the year passing through a succession of 4 seasons, thus imitating our own life? In the early spring it is tender and full of sap like the age of childhood. Then the crops in shining trim but still delicate shoot up in the fields, and though they are not yet stout and strong, fill the farmers with joyous hopes. Everything is in flower, the fertile earth gay with its brightly colored blossoms, but there is as yet no sturdiness in the leaves. Spring past, the year grows more robust, and moving on into summer becomes like a strong young man. There is no time hardier than this, none richer, none so hot and fiery. Autumn takes over when the ardor of youth is gone, a season ripe and mellow, in temper midway between youth and age, with a sprinkling of gray hairs at its temples. Then aged winter comes shivering in, with tottering steps, its hair all gone, or what it was has turned white. In the same way our own bodies are always ceaselessly changing, and what we have been or now are, we shall not be tomorrow. There was a day when we lived in our mother's womb, mere seeds that held the first promise of a human. To these nature applied her hands, skillfully fashioning them. Then, unwilling that our bodies should lie tightly cramped and buried inside our mother's swollen shape, she sent us out from our home into the empty air. The baby, first born into the light of day, lies weak and helpless. After that, she crawls on all fours, moving his limbs as animals do, and gradually, on legs as yet trembling and unsteady, stands upright, supporting herself by some convenient prop. Then she becomes strong and swift of foot, passing through the stage of youth till, having lived through the years of middle age also, he slips down the incline of old age towards life's setting. Age undermines and destroys the strength of former years. Mylon, grown old, weeps to see those arms hanging limp and thin, whose massive, knotted muscles once rivaled those of Hercules. Helen weeps too when she sees herself in the glass, wrinkled with age, and asks herself why she was twice carried off. Time the devourer and the jealous years that pass destroy all things, and nibbling them away, consume them gradually in a lingering death. Even the things which we call elements do not remain constant. Consider the changes that they undergo, for I shall instruct you. The everlasting universe contains 4 elements that give rise to bodies. 2 of these, earth and water, are heavy, and by their own weight sink down, while the other 2, air and fire, which is more rarefied than air itself, are weightless and soar upwards unless something holds them under. Though these 4 elements are distinct from each other in space, yet they are all derived from one another and are resolved back again into themselves. Earth is broken up and refined into liquid water. Water, becoming still less substantial, changes into air and wind, and air too, being already of the finest texture, flashes upwards when it loses weight into the fiery atmosphere above. Then the process is reversed, and the elements are restored again in the same order. Fire condenses and thickens into air, air into water, and water, under pressure, produces earth. Nor does anything retain its own appearance permanently. Ever inventive nature continually produces one shape from another. Nothing in the entire universe ever perishes, believe me, but things vary and adopt a new form. The phrase being born is used for beginning to be something different from what one was before, while dying means ceasing to be the same. Though this thing may pass into that, and that into this, yet the sum of things remains unchanged. For my part, considering now how the generations of men have passed from the age of gold to that of iron, how often the fortunes of different places have been reversed, I should believe that nothing lasts long under the same form. I have seen what once was solid earth now changed into sea, and lands created out of what once was ocean. Seashells lie far away from the ocean's waves,
and ancient anchors have been found on mountain tops. What was at one time a level plain has become a valley, thanks to the waters flowing down over it. Mountains have been washed away by floods and leveled into plains. Land that was once marshy has become a barren stretch of arid land, and thirsty deserts are moist with stagnant pools. In one place, nature sends out new springs. In another, she blocks existing ones. And rivers may either burst from the ground, disturbed by tremors in the depths of the earth, or they may drain away and sink out of sight. So the Lycus, after being swallowed up in a chasm of the earth, appears again far away, reborn from a new source. The Erasinus, too, at one point is sucked down and flows beneath the ground to return again as a mighty river in the fields of Argos. The Mysus, they say, ashamed of his source and his original bed, now flows elsewhere as the Caicus. In Sicily, too, the Amennanus sometimes runs full, churning the sands in his waters, but at other times his springs are checked, his channel dry. Formerly, the river Anigrus was used for drinking, but now it pours forth waters no one would wish to touch, since the time when, unless we are to discredit the poets completely, the centaurs used its stream to wash the wounds inflicted by the bow of Hercules, the club-bearer. Again, is it not true that the Hypanis, which rises in Scythia's mountains and once was fresh water, is now tainted with bitter salt? Antissa and Pharos, and Tyre too, the city of the Phoenicians, were once surrounded by sea, but not one of them is an island now. In the old days, the inhabitants of Leucas occupied a continuation of the mainland. Now the sea encircles them. Zancli, too, is said to have been joined on to Italy till the sea destroyed their common border, and the intervening waves thrust back the lands. Book 15, line 307. Many instances occur to me which I have heard and have been told, but I shall mention only a few more. Come now, admit that even water gives and takes new forms. At midday the waters of horned Ammon are chill, but at sunset and sunrise they grow warm. It is said that Athamanians kindle wood by pouring these waters over it, at the season when the moon has dwindled to its smallest crescent. The Cicones have a river that turns to stone the inner organs of those who drink it, and spreads a marble covering over anything it touches. Crathis and Sybaris, too, the latter flowing close to our own country here, give hair the color of gold or amber. More surprising still, there are some streams which can change not only men's bodies, but their characters as well. Who has not heard of Salmacis' loathsome waters, or the Ethiopian lakes? If anyone drinks of these, he either goes mad or falls into a deep, miraculous sleep. Someone who quenches their thirst at Clitorius spring shuns wine and soberly enjoys water by itself. Perhaps this is because there is some property in these waters incompatible with the warmth of wine, though the inhabitants of the place have another explanation.
They say that when Amithaon's son cured Proteus' demented daughters of their madness by means of spells and herbs, he threw the charms which had restored the girl's senses into this spring, so that the waters developed a lasting hatred of wine. The Lyncestian river has the opposite effect, for if anyone drinks too much of it, he reels about just as if he had been drinking neat wine. There is a place in Arcadia, too, which people of old called Phoenix, whose waters are distrusted because of their double nature. Beware of them at night, for if drunk then, they are harmful, but they do not hurt those who taste them by day. So lakes and rivers have different properties at different seasons. Book 15, line 391. All these creatures, however, derive their origin from something other than themselves. There is one living thing, a bird, which reproduces and regenerates itself without any outside aid. The Assyrians call it the phoenix. It lives not on corn or grasses, but on the gum of incense and the sap of balsam. When it has completed 5 centuries of life, it straightway builds a nest for itself, working with unsullied beak and claw in the topmost branches of some swaying palm. Then, when it has laid a foundation of cassia and smooth spikes of nard, chips of cinnamon bark and yellow myrrh, it places itself on top and ends its life amid the perfumes. Then, they say, a little phoenix is born anew from the father's body, fated to live a like number of years. When the nestling is old enough and strong enough to carry the weight, it lifts the heavy nest from the high branches, and like a dutiful son, carries its father's tomb, its own cradle, through the yielding air, till it reaches the city of the sun, where it lays its burden before the sacred doors, within Hyperion's temple. If there is anything strange or wonderful in such novelties, we may well wonder that the hyena can change its sex, the female that lately allowed the male to mount her, becoming now a male herself. Then there is the animal which lives on air and wind and immediately assumes the color of whatever it touches. Conquered India gave his lynxes to Bacchus, god of the vine cluster. Men say that whenever these animals empty their bladders, the contents turn to stone and harden in contact with the air. In the same way, coral, too, hardens as soon as air touches it, whereas under the water it was a waving plant. Book 15, line 454. But now, lest I should stray far from my course and allow my horses to forget that they are making for a goal, I return to my theme. The heavens and everything that lies below them change their shape, as does the earth and all that it contains. We too, who are part of creation, since we are not merely bodies, but winged souls as well, can find a home in the forms of wild beasts and be lodged in the breasts of cattle. Therefore, let us leave unmolested those bodies which may contain the souls of our parents, or of our brothers, or those of other relatives, or at least the souls of men. Let us not dishonor our kind, or cram our stomachs with feasts like that of Thyestes? What evil habits a person learns, how wickedly do they prepare themselves to shed human blood, and when they cut open a calf's throat with their knives, and listen unmoved to its mournful lowing, when they can slay a kid that cries like a child, or feed on the birds which he himself has fed, how little short of full-fledged crimes are acts like these, and to what do they lead? Let the ox proceed with his ploughing, or blame his death on advancing years. Let the sheep supply us with a defense against the biting north wind, and well-fed goats present their udders to be milked. Away with nets and snares, traps and cunning ruses. Cease to trick birds with limed twigs, or to make a sport of hunting stags with feather-decked cords, or hiding barbed hooks beneath your treacherous bait. Destroy creatures that harm you, but even in their case be content to destroy. Do not let their flesh pass your lips. Live on some less barbarous diet. Book 15, line 871. My work is complete, a work which neither Jove's anger, nor fire, nor sword shall destroy, nor yet the gnawing tooth of time. That day which has power over nothing but my body may, when it pleases, put an end to my uncertain span of years. Yet with my better part I shall soar, undying, far above the stars, and my name will be imperishable. Wherever Roman power extends over the lands Rome has subdued, people will read my verse. If there be any truth in poets' prophecies, I shall live to all eternity, immortalized by fame. Quaeque patet domitus Romana potentia teres, ore legar populi, perche omnia saecula fama, si quid habent verivatum praesagia vivam.